Hello, Mark. Good day, and welcome again to What's in Your Cup.
Good day, Myla. How are you doing today?
Well, except for what we will cover today, the rest is okay.
There we go.
You know, Mark, I'm pretty sure you and your team in the past few days were as busy as most of us in the industry. So I'd like to pick in a little bit on this topic with you, more of the voice of someone who really needs to advise organization and industry. How do we adopt in this vulnerability world that we're moving on?
Absolutely. So yes, it has been busy with the vulnerabilities, especially the one regarding SharePoint that's been out there the past few days, and I know that Trend has been at the heart of that, being that it was discovered or at least brought forth at the Berlin event, the Pwn to Own. So it has been a busy couple of weeks as we've been dealing with that type of thing and advising people.
It's kind of being a little bit more calm compared to last few days, right?
Yes. Yeah, it has been an interesting past few days with the realization that there's been a number of significant organizations that have been impacted by this scenario.
Mark, I'd like to dive into the after effect. So as the vulnerability is obviously progressing, what did your team and you did in terms of priority and remediations? What are the first few things that you've done, especially from a customer point of view?
First and foremost is we've kept up on what is actually going on. There's been a lot of disinformation. There's been a lot of information and media that's come out about the subject. And so we've been able to sift through that and focus on real source intelligence from CISA, from Trend, from other organizations like that will tell us what is really happening. That's been first and foremost that has formed our advice and our opinion. Second of all, we've been very communicative, in meaning this exploit only impacts those people that are using SharePoint in the 2019 and the subsequent subscription version of the product. So our customers and those that we advise and talk to that are using Office 365, we're able to calm them and tell them, look, that's not, you're seeing a lot of this stuff in the world, but that's not the impacted zone. So if you're the enterprise, you need to be watching out for this. Then third, we've given folks the tools necessary to address the issue. Everything from the virtual patching on the Trend Micro tipping point IPS down to the fact that Microsoft has had to release multiple patches to address the issue, and then explaining to the customers why Microsoft has had to issue multiple patches, which our advice on that has been Microsoft addressed very quickly what they needed to address. There were probably things that they missed in their testing because they were trying to roll out very quickly. So the overall advice is let's keep our toes on this. Let's keep our eyes on this. It's not one patch and done. It's let's keep watching. Let's keep making sure that the exploitations that are happening in the wild and by the bad actors are not finding new portions of the bug that Microsoft needs to address again.
I really like, Mark, what you're saying, the first one, that in the right and credible information should really be the ones that should serve the customers, right? Because in times like this, we know that it's very, very busy out there in terms of the flood of information. So I think the credibility of the information that they read is definitely a must, right?
Absolutely. And it's nice to have the media out there that is pushing this, even organizations like Reuters and New York Times and some of the mainstream media, if you will. It's good to have them publishing that information because then it gets into the hands of the CEOs and the CFOs and the people that are paying attention to those things, so that then they can ask their experts, their advisors, questions, and we could drill down deeper on it. Otherwise, some of these exploits that never meet that mainstream media requirement just become a background noise and really don't rise to the attention of the level of the people that need to hear it.
Yeah, correct. The right information is to get to the right people. You and your company obviously have a very broad list of customers also that you manage and you're liable into. When we talk about security framework and looking at it in a more forward-looking, what advices and changes that you would like to advocate our customers, or at least our listeners here, to probably look into strengthening out of this experience so that we can prevent disruption or minimize the threats in the future?
Right. One of the things that I find is very prevalent in the security industry is that people are not looking at threat intelligence from a long-term perspective. They're looking at each single incident as a one and done, take a look at it, move on, take a look at it, move on. This particular example is one that shows us the legs, if you will, that a vulnerability has. First of all, it was discovered at Pwn to Own. Once it became public at Pwn to Own, then we need to follow that through. We can't just go, oh, it happened, and then move on. And then when we see the CVS scores and the various scenarios coming out about it, and then when Microsoft started releasing patches or a patch and claiming it was done, we need to follow this all the way through to see the threat intelligence and what is happening with the exploit, and then realizing that, hey, that one patch wasn't it, and now here we are 2 months, 3 months on from Pwn to Own, and we're still dealing with the scenario. So the biggest piece of advice is follow it all the way through. The rabbit trail is worth following sometimes.
And I think it's really necessary, especially a lot of these threats evolve over time. They get recycled, right? You know, one of the last question I have is really, how did this incident tested your own incident response strategy? What improvements do you recommend that a lot of the organizations need to prioritize out of this unfortunate vulnerability disclosure?
Well, it has tested the strategy from a number of different perspectives. One is the longevity that we just spoke about of following something all the way through. You mentioned something very important, that even though this was discovered at Pwn to Own, there's an exploit that was happening against a 2023 vulnerability, at least in part. So following things through, keeping a database going of the vulnerabilities, or perhaps subscribing to a database so that you can cross-reference things. Believe it or not, artificial intelligence has played a huge factor in this for me, and I'm actually adding to our overall response process, because I was able to utilize the LLMs to go out and search the web and find other information quickly about the exploit. And so I've included that into my daily routine of, okay, show me all the new information the past 12 hours. You know, I've gone to sleep, now I've gotten up. You show me the new information of exploits in the last 12 hours that are related to this particular exploit. And so it's been able to show me that and allow me to dig deeper on that. So that's one thing that's been added. Another thing that's been verified is that virtual patching does work and is helpful. And this particular scenario has been virtual patched on IPS devices and things along those lines for a couple of months now, even before Microsoft got their hands on the need to patch this. So even though Microsoft has been releasing more patches, and it's important to apply those patches because somebody could come in from the backside, virtual patching has given us assurance and been able to mitigate the 9.8 down to a 5 or a 6, or even sometimes less on the risk exposure for our customers and others involved. So it's validated a lot of things. It's shown us some new things, and that's how we just continually learn these processes.
It's a cycle, Mark, right?
It is, absolutely.
Oversight at some point, but at the end of the day, it's really just continuously testing the resilience of our framework. Mark, it's so good to talk to you and nice to have you back. I'm sure the nuggets of information that you're giving our audience and our readers for the blog will definitely empower them moving forward. And I hope that we will all have a quiet and less crisis few days onwards, right? Thank you, Mark, for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you very soon in the next topic.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
You too.